Hey everybody, it's the Mad Master here. I'm doing a video today, and this is a kind of a video I've been planning for a long time. I'm just doing it off the cuff today, and just have a lot of ideas that are burning inside of me to come out as far as future videos. So this video is going to be about a very sensitive subject that's related to the shirt I'm wearing, and that's Satanism. And what do I think about it today, and what are some of my beliefs with regards to this? And I'm going to say that I'm not a Satanist. I'm certainly not a Christian, but I'm not a Satanist. Now that said, I'm going to surprise some people by this, but I really have an affinity for certain ideas in Satanism, especially with LaVey, some of his ideas, or romantic Satanism, which I'm going to read the back of this book. It's available. Various websites. It's by Michael Osiris Snuffin. I wonder if that's a real name. Huh? It's let's see. It was Percy Shelley, Lord Byron, George Sand, Victor Hugo. Some would say William Blake, Anatole France. So what is this? Why do I identify with this? Why is this something that I identify with? Well, first of all, I've known for a long time that Christianity demonized pagan religions and did this on purpose for to consolidate power over people. And every civilization and every epoch, however you pronounce that. I read a lot more words than I hear, by the way. Because I read so much and I don't hear people say words in case they mispronounce anything in the future. So every era that happens, the predominant social hierarchy or religious or spiritual hierarchy demonizes the one that came before it. And I first read about this as actually there was like an introduction to one of the editions of the Simon Necronomicon, which is, pretty fake when it comes down to real occult books. It's not really a real book, but there's elements that are true in it, that have some, that you do draw from actual archaeological or historical sources, but for the most part, I believe that is a hoax someone wrote. Now, it talks about a lot of how this happened, especially with the previous age. There's a microcosm in our the previous age will demonize the age that you're in will demonize the previous age in their social mores and values. And this is kind of what has happened throughout history. So one day some group of people will worship a god called Pan that has horns, and the next 1,000 years they'll say Satan has horns, things like that. I don't know if that's the actual root of the horned idea, but that is one of them for sure. So that's kind of how that works. So to me, what LaVey has said, and a lot of people like LaVey, and some of this romantic Satanism says, is pretty on point, honestly. I believe there's a force of change that is a darker force to some extent, or you can call it dark, that is in each, and I identify with that force, which some say that would be satanic, that I would be a Satanist by saying that. But I can't really fit into one mold, so I don't really consider myself a Satanist. But I do identify with this kind of force of rebellion, of, anti-authority, prevailing wisdom, status quo, establishment, against all those things. So I guess that would make me a Satanist in a certain way, but I really wouldn't consider myself a Satanist. Now, this kind of stuff fascinates me because it really gets into the roots of, in my opinion, it does have an influence on this. These writers and these ideas had an influence on people like LaVey and others that have that. Now, I'm not like in the Temple of the Black Light or anything like that, like John Notvite from Dissection. I'm not going to go kill cats. or something like that. You know, like King Diamond loves cats, and so does J-Dog. Anyways, it's a weird thing to talk about. I love cats, so I would never sacrifice cats or anything. It's really disgusting to me. So any of these like really weird black metal bands that talk about like they get into these weird cults that they make up, and you know, there's like 3 people. I don't really identify with that, but I do identify with the general concept of this rebellion. So when I listen to satanic metal or music, I kind of identify with that, but also enjoy the horror aspect of it, because it's like, but I don't really like feel like I want to go do something crazy or something when they talk about it. You know, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like I identify with some of that. And I think a lot of metal fans can actually agree with that. Even like Christian metal fans can kind of see that as far as that goes. Now, do I hate Christianity? No, I don't hate Christianity. In fact, I like some Christianity. I like some aspects of it, which is probably very strange to people for people to hear. But Neville Goddard and, you know, some of the more New Age kind of Christian ideas, Course in Miracles, some of that stuff. Course in Miracles really helped me in 2010. So I was going through like a deep depression in the winter, you know, late 2010, early 2011. And I listened to Course in Miracles every day, and things happened to me, you know, because I don't know, you know, I was listening to just as much black metal at the time, you know. But yeah, it's I believe in, as far as like this idea, I do identify with some of it. Now, I'm not a Satanist, and one of the things that separates me from like the Satanist thing is I'm not into like the idea of curses and like this, almost like ironically, or not so ironically, considering LaVey's background, Old Testament, and my background too is the same, some of the same, by the way. It's before you judge me for saying that, because I am. Just like the Merciful Fate lyric, you're the devil's child, so am I. Gypsy, or, you know, another wandering group of people over the years, you know, certain other group of people that identify with that. Of course, I don't identify with what people are doing in their name right now, some of them, but that's a different story. I'm not going to get into politics in this video. But yeah, I don't like this Old Testament like eye for an eye thing. I just don't think I don't like this revenge thing, like, you know, I'm not like into the tenfold Wicca law or something like that. Don't get me wrong, but I'm a little bit more pacifistic as far as that goes. I think revenge is kind of misguided, you know. It's fun, you know, just like the Suicidal Tendencies lyric, 2 wrongs don't make a right, but oh, they make me feel a lot better, you know. That's kind of how it is. But I don't believe in that kind of idea of Satanism. I don't believe in like curses and stuff. I'm just like, I have done curses in the past, not because I was a Satanist, but I kind of like, I don't know, I did it a couple of times. Also, I paid someone to put a spell on a ex-girlfriend of mine a long time ago, and that was really stupid too. I would never do that now, but it wasn't a curse. It was get her back, but I never did, so it was pretty dumb. I had some youthful indiscretions, so to speak. I guess not so youthful because it was only about 4 years ago, but still, you know. I feel stupid about some of that stuff. But anyways, yeah, I'm revealing a lot. I don't really have that same point of view anymore, so people can change, I believe, so I would never do that again. But yeah, Satanism, I do identify with some of it. But identify with some of Christianity. I identify with, I'm a pluralist, you know, that's the ultimate threat to religious fundamentalism is pluralism. The idea that all these people have these, it's like you see one picture of one part of this huge statue, like this huge sculpture, but you only see the hand, or you only see the whatever, you know. That's kind of how I see religion. It's like it has bits and pieces that are all true, and if you take it, you know, you kind of refine it down, it may have some truth to it. So that's the ultimate threat to people. You talk to people about that, talk to Christians about that, they're just offended and weirded out, like they don't get it. It kind of squirms their brain a little bit for that concept to take hold. But I like to do it sometimes, including some friends that are religious. Sometimes I'll throw out a little bit of pluralism. Not in that last comedy routine by any means. That was part of my comedy about the personal relationship with Jesus joke. That was from 2020. But yeah, I wouldn't consider myself a Satanist, but I'm definitely a Satanist. Like, not they used to call it simp, as in sympathizers. Now that word's been ruined because it's SIMP instead of SYMP. I wouldn't be. I guess I sympathize or adjacent to Satanism or something like that. I guess I'm adjacent. That's the new word for it, I guess. So yeah, I like some of it. I like some of the aesthetics and I like some of the ideas, but I really wouldn't consider myself Satanist. And I don't. There's a lot of right-wing moral kind of. I'm kind of stuck in between a rock and a hard place right now, because a lot of the like the right-wing conspiratorial types will talk about like Satanism as like the elites are doing all this crazy stuff. And then I'm like, well, what's wrong with Satanism? In some ways, some of it's good. I don't think that's really Satanism anyways, but I will agree with them. It's hypocritical for Christians to like partake in any of that stuff. If they like a Republican Christian politician will go to some Bohemian Grove thing and partake in some worship of Moloch, I think it's hypocritical. It doesn't mean that I think it's necessarily wrong per se to do that in itself. But I think it is hypocritical. But do I think there's this like satanic reign of PEDO, the word? I don't know. I don't think that. I think that some people, the elites are into the occult at times, but I think sometimes it's more like a symbolic or like ceremonial like joke for them. Like the Bohemian Grove is kind of a joke. I was just watching this documentary about the Bohemian Grove. So it's like, you can say that, but what do they really believe? I don't know. But I don't think like the idea of questioning authority, questioning reality, questioning the status quo is something that the elites want to do. I don't know what they worship. They worship mammon, or as the Christians say, or they worship money. That's their God, really, at the end of the day. Maybe some of them are very, very, very into some of these ideas. I don't think LaVey had a lot of elites in the Church of Satan. No, like one politician sort of hung out with them a couple of times, or a little bit here and there, or whatever. I can't even remember. Sammy Davis Jr. and Jane Mansfield. Come on, that's not what I'm talking about. This right wing thing, but. They'll say that's conspiratorial kind of stuff that they're into. And then you have the other side of like this leftist Satanist thing. Like there was a group out in like on the East Coast that talked about how you had to have the jabs to get into their satanic like temple or something. Like all the jabs, not just one jab. Jabba-dabba-doo. I'm like, is this really what Satanism is about? Like this new leftist Satanism thing. You're coming from a religion, philosophy that used to like quote Ragnar Redbeard and like Ayn Rand and like, like you had these actual like Boyd Rice just dressing up as a fascist, even though I don't think he's a fascist. I'm just saying, like, you had these types of people that were more associated with the far right, and now it's like the far left. It's like, don't you know your history? It's like metal being a bunch of soy wusses that just play breakdowns all day, and they're short little dweebs. I don't know. I'm just making. I don't know. I'm just being. There's nothing wrong with being short, by the way. Dan Spitz is pretty short, but a lot of metalheads are short. Dio was short. Who cares? I'm not saying that. I'm just saying. I'm just rambling on this crazy shit. But yeah, I don't think Satanism is a bad thing per se, but I do like the romantic idea. The romantic Satanism is probably what I identify with the most. And I'm not a Satanist, but I am kind of a Satanist. That's kind of how I would say it. To certain people, I'd love to say that I'm a Satanist, like some kind of religious moral majority types. I'll say they'll try to convert me to their evangelicals. I like to say that too. I'm kind of a Satanist. So a person that just doesn't give a shit, I'm like, well, I have ideas in chaos magic and Eastern thought with some new thought mixed in, which is derived from Christianity. Let's just be honest. And a little bit of romantic Satanism peppered in with that. It's how explaining this shit to people is just impossible with chaos magic and stuff. And it's kind of impossible to explain my beliefs to people, because if I actually broke it all down, it would not be a 20-minute video or whatever this turns out to be. It would be like a 2-day video to kind of explain everything, 2 days, like literally 48-hour video. So I am a Satanist in a certain way, but I'm not. Just like LaVey said, you're born that way if you're a Satanist. I'm like, well, I guess I was partially born that way. I'm a partial Satanist, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, I like the ideas. See, I don't take them seriously. I don't take the horned devil and the imagery of all that stuff seriously, because it's all derived from pagan gods that were not seen as bad at the time. So why the hell, pun intended, would I find that to be bad? I think it's funny. It's like Halloween or something, So it's all our primordial Jungian fears in our brain anyways, our collective unconscious, subconscious mind that's afraid of the dark, or the horned beast, on the plane or whatever, That's what it is. So I don't take that seriously. I do believe in some occultic kind of ideas and stuff, but I don't believe that imagery is like bad to get into. 666 is just a number. Might have been Emperor Nero. It might have been a little numerology with that. And I would argue that all day with Christians, like, well, it also means this, just like people that think Trump is the Antichrist. I'm like, well, I'm going to do a separate video about that. But anyways, so I have a very complicated, convoluted belief with spirituality, and it's evolving all the time. I wouldn't say that I committed to one thing. I just like to have I like the word holistic nowadays. It's something actually I wouldn't mind hearing people say, because at least I said it first. It's like adjacent or toxic or problematic or all the left-wing communist words, Just kidding, but yeah, that's about all.